Hey guys, tonight we leave the roads behind, way behind. We're heading to the edge of the known world, or at least what ancient Siberians thought was the edge. A place where snow falls sideways, trees groan like they're gossiping, and your own breath might get you in trouble with the spirits. We're going to spend one long, extremely questionable night inside a shaman's hut where reality takes a back seat and your shadow doesn't always stay attached. And let's be honest, you probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments, where are you listening from? And what time is it for you to dim the lights? Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You begin on foot. There's no other way. The sled dogs have long since turned back. The snow has swallowed the last track of your boots, and the wind makes that low, teeth-on-wood sound as it rips through the pines. Every part of the sky is grey, but not the same grey. Some parts seem older, like they've seen you coming. Ahead, the forest thins into a clearing no map ever acknowledged. There's something at its centre round, low and fur-covered, not a yurt, not a house. A dome of bones and hide, stitched together with sinew and symbols that seem to shift when you squint. This is the hut. The place the locals don't talk about unless they're holding vodka or their grandmother's hand. And even then, they whisper. It's the kind of place you don't knock. You don't announce yourself. You simply wait outside the ring of antlers that marks its threshold and hope you were invited in a dream you forgot having. The ring is unmistakable, a circle of old reindeer skulls and curved bones half buried in snow. Their antlers reach upward like claws frozen mid-prayer. You step closer. The snow crunches differently here, like it's learned to speak. You hesitate just before crossing the bone ring. You've heard stories. Stepping into the ring without permission is like picking up someone else's drum. Or worse, answering a question that wasn't asked out loud. But it's getting colder, and something behind you, just outside your line of sight, makes a soft clicking noise. That's your cue. You step forward, cross the threshold, and the temperature changes. Not warmer, just aware. The door to the hut is a flap of stitched hides, painted in lines that loop like serpents swallowing their tails. You press your hand to it. It parts. You duck inside. Immediately, the world shifts. The air is thick with smoke and something richer, earthy, damp and vaguely sweet. You blink, then again, and realize the room rearranges itself each time. A fire pit dances in the center, throwing out no heat. Furs line the walls in patterns that resemble animals you don't recognize, and hanging from the ceiling bones, dozens of them. Some etched with glyphs, some hollowed out to make sound. They clink gently as the flap closes behind you. You're not alone. There's movement in the back corner. Something seated, wrapped in a massive cloak made of fur, feather, and what looks like braided hair. It doesn't move, yet, but it's breathing, and you're not entirely sure you are. The figure in the corner doesn't acknowledge you at first, or maybe it already has, just in a way your brain hasn't caught up with. The room pulses faintly, like you're inside something alive. The bones hanging from the ceiling sway a little more now, though the air is still, not in a breeze kind of way, in a heartbeat kind of way. You try to focus on the shape in the corner. The fur cloak is massive brown and silver, woven through with feathers, beads, and what may or may not be claws. It's unclear where the cloak ends and the body begins. You realize the cloak is shaped strangely, not symmetrical. Too many folds, like it's covering extra. And then it speaks, not with a greeting, not with words, with a sound. Something between a cough and a chuckle, low, hoarse, layered. You blink. The figure rises, and it is taller than it has any right to be. The hood falls back not fully, just enough to reveal eyes. 3 of them, one set where you expect, and a third right in the middle of the forehead. It's small, and it blinks independently. You instinctively step back. The floor creaks beneath your feet like it resents your presence. The shaman leans slightly to one side. A hand emerges from the cloak. Human, yes, but painted black up to the wrist. The fingers are wrapped in copper wire and tiny bells. They don't jingle. They click. They raise one finger and point to the center of the hut. The fire. You walk toward it, slowly. The pit glows faintly, but not orange, blue, white. The light doesn't flicker, it pulses, and when you hold your hands near it, it gives no heat. Instead, it gives silence. The crackle you expect is absent. No pop, no hiss. Just that strange, absorbing quiet. When you move your lips to speak, the sound disappears into it. The fire is eating your voice. You turn to the shaman. He or she or they are kneeling now across the pit from you. A low drum sits in their lap, circular, stretched tight with rawhide, etched with a swirling pattern that never seems to repeat itself the same way twice. Each time you look, something's changed. They begin to drum, slow at first, just a soft pulse, like a heartbeat, one that started before you arrived and will continue long after you leave. The smoke from the fire rises in a strange, deliberate column, twisting without dispersing. You think you see shapes in it, not just faces, movements, dancing, crawling, a woman with a foxtail, a man whose arms are wings. The shaman's cloak shifts again. You catch a glimpse of something slithering beneath it, or maybe woven into it, a snake, feathered, or just very well carved. Hard to say. You look down. Your shadow is thinner, longer, and it's stretching toward the far wall, moving slightly offbeat from your own body. When you raise your hand, the shadow delays, lingers, like it's weighing its options. The drumbeat increases, and now the bones hanging from the ceiling begin to respond not all at once, but gradually. A bone near the door rattles. One above your head begins to hum. They're tuned, you realize. Each bone sings when the beat hits a certain rhythm. The hut becomes an instrument, and you are very much inside the song. The shaman sings now, a series of sounds you can't repeat. Not because they're difficult, because they don't belong to your throat. Clicks, growls, a low tone that comes from behind the chest, not within it. You sit. Not because you're told to, because your legs decide they're not holding you anymore. The fire pulses once. Your shadow twitches, and then calmly detaches. It peels away from your feet like oil from water, lifts itself upright, pauses, then turns, and walks toward the far side of the hut. You open your mouth to protest, but the fire eats your voice again, and your shadow doesn't look back. Your shadow doesn't pause. It slides across the floorboards like a memory deciding to forget you. It passes under bones, around the drumbeat, and into a darker corner of the hut you hadn't noticed before, where the firelight refuses to go. There's no door there. just a fold in the furs, a ripple in the air, a space that exists more in principle than in architecture. You try to rise. Your body disagrees, not from weight, not from fear, from the growing suspicion that you're the guest, and this part of the night was already arranged long before you showed up in your boots and borrowed courage. The shaman tilts their head, watching your reaction with all three eyes. The top one blinks sideways. They reach into their cloak and pull out something long, stiff, and gleaming a ladder, not made of wood, not rope, bone, reindeer ribs, bound together with sinew, curved like a spine and light as ash. They set it gently on the floor beside you. It makes no sound. Then they point to the same corner your shadow vanished into. You know what they want. Climb. Because of course, there's always a ladder to the spirit realm. Every good shamanic tradition has one, whether it's a world tree, a sacred rope, a silver thread, or a staircase carved into nothingness. In ancient Siberia, the ladder made of bone was symbolic and practical. It was said to bridge this world with the others both directions. Scholars argue about whether shamans actually believed they travelled through physical layers of the universe or simply entered altered states. But you're not here to resolve that. You're here to climb. You grasp the first rib rung. It's warm. You hesitate, not from fear, from respect. Then you climb. The hut tilts as you move upward, not in the floorboards, not in the walls, in your mind. Each rung pulls your awareness sideways, like turning pages in a book that doesn't have a title. The smoke thickens, not choking, just dense. It begins to colour pale blue, then violet, then gold. And then you're not climbing through a hut, you're climbing through sky. Stars blink in and out around you. Shapes loom below vague, slow-moving, too large to name. Something sings in a language of echoes. The ladder creaks, but not in protest, in greeting. Above you, a flicker of orange, a new fire, set in the sky. You reach the top and pull yourself onto a ridge of stone, of bone, of cloud. Hard to say. You stand and realise your feet aren't touching anything solid, but they also aren't falling. Ahead, a path, lit by small lights, not torches. Eyes, animal eyes, dozens of them, just hovering in the air like they've been waiting for something worth staring at. You begin to walk. The eyes blink in sequence as you pass, and somewhere to your right, something chuckles. You turn. A fox, but not exactly. Its body is longer than expected. Its fur ripples like water, and its eyes are too human. It sits, watches, then speaks. In perfect sarcasm-laced syllables, nice boots. You stare. The fox sighs. First time you nod, it nods back. Of course it is. You people always show up confused and full of questions. You open your mouth. Don't bother, it says. They told me not to answer anything yet. Just lead you to the trial. The trial. It rolls its eyes. See, already breaking the rule. Then it trots forward, tail flicking. You follow. What else is there to do? You glance behind you. The ladder's gone. Of course it is. You walk. The fox ahead. The eyes around. The path beneath you, flickering with each step like it's being remembered in real time. And the sky above, not night, not day. Just open. You've left the hut, but the hut has not left you. And somewhere, not far ahead, your shadow is waiting. The fox trots ahead with an unbothered elegance, tail swaying like a banner that doesn't care if you're keeping up. Its paw prints glow faintly on the path, brief sparks of silver that vanish after you step through them. Each footfall you take feels lighter now, as though the weight of your body is only loosely connected to the idea of having one. You try to ask the fox where you're going. You form the words, they leave your mouth and drop, literally. They plop onto the path like little pebbles and bounce twice before disappearing through a crack in the air. The fox stops and looks over its shoulder. Told you not to talk yet. You press your lips together and nod. It smirks if foxes can smirk and adds, "You're not being punished, but the air up here doesn't like assumptions." You walk in silence for a while. The world around you begins to shift. The path becomes softer, no longer smooth or stable. It pulses beneath your feet like walking on the back of something very, very large that is very, very asleep. The stars change above, rearranging themselves into shapes. Some you recognize, a bear, a bird, a woman with antlers. Others, you feel them more than you see them. Symbols that hum softly into the soles of your feet. The fox stops, points with its nose. Ahead, there is a tree, or what used to be a tree. It stands crooked, scorched at the base, with one great limb twisting up like a question. The rest have broken away. But it isn't dead, no, because growing out of the blackened bark are antlers, wide, white, bone pale, sprouting like a crown from its upper trunk. The tree shifts slightly as you approach, like it's adjusting to face you. You don't need the fox to explain. You're here for a bargain. The ancient peoples of Siberia believed that some trees weren't trees at all. They were doorways, access points between the land of spirits and the world of humans. They connected the middle world with the realms above and below, and shamans sought them in visions when they needed answers, or when the spirits demanded payment. The fox circles the base of the tree once, then vanishes. No rustle, no farewell, just gone. You're alone, except, of course, you're not. The antlered tree creaks, a sound like bending ribs and distant thunder. Then it speaks, not in words, not in voice, in pressure. A question forms inside you, not something you hear, but something you remember knowing. Will you trade? You try to ask trade what? But that's not how this works. You know it already. A memory for an answer. A part of you for a deeper part of something else. You reach instinctively toward your pouch, but it's gone. You're not even wearing the same clothes anymore. Just soft furs draped over your shoulders, stitched with shapes you can't name but understand immediately. A spiral, a feather, a hand with too many fingers. The tree waits. You breathe in and out, then offer a memory. One from childhood, unimportant at first glance. The sound of your mother snapping fresh roots in the cold. The smell of damp wool and wood smoke on your sleeves. As you release it, you feel it lift softly. Not torn, not stolen. Given. The tree shudders, and a single antler tip cracks and falls to the ground in front of you. You bend to pick it up. It's warm. As your fingers close around it, the bark beside you splits. A doorway. Just wide enough to walk through sideways. You step in. The world turns completely dark, but not cold. The space around you feels dense, thick with attention. You walk blindly, one hand on the wall. Your steps echo once, then twice, then not at all. The path curves, and when light returns, it does so all at once. You're in a circle of fire, not burning, dancing, and dozens of figures surround you, tall, masked, furred. They're not human, but they are people. and they have been waiting. The figures move with slow precision, each step tapping the ground in time with a rhythm you don't hear so much as remember. They're dressed in layers of fur, leather, feathers, and bone, arranged in ways that make it impossible to tell where one body ends and another begins. Some wear masks wooden, antlered, or split down the middle with tusks curling out. Others simply are masks' faces stretched with fixed grins, eyes blinking slowly from within designs that shouldn't allow for eyes at all. You don't recognize their language, but you understand the silence between their movements. It's not hostile. It's not welcome either. It's ritual. They're not dancing for you. You just happen to be in the middle. You take a breath, intending to speak, but the fire spirals upward and cuts you off. It doesn't roar. It sings low, like a wind through reed flutes. The flames twist into shapes, brief outlines of animals and hands and mouths that open too wide. A tall figure approaches you, taller than the rest. Their mask is smooth and black with no eye holes, only a narrow slit from forehead to chin. Strips of dried fish skin hang from their shoulders. They stop inches from you, tilting their head. Their hand rises, and on the palm a spiral. Again! You're starting to suspect this whole universe was drawn by a very tired person with one favourite symbol and no eraser. The figure presses their palm to your chest. You flinch, but not from pain, from recognition. A drumbeat echoes from inside your body. It doesn't hurt, it invites. Then you're moving, not dancing, not yet, just swaying. And the others respond. They part, forming a circle around you, and then they begin. The dance is not complicated. It is not elegant. It is necessary. Your feet move where they are told, by muscle, by memory, by something older than language. You stumble once, and laughter ripples through the crowd. Not cruel, just amused. A child trying to run in adult shoes. You try again. This time, you find it. The beat, the breath, the spin that turns into a step, the step that calls the fire higher, the fire that pulses in time with the movement of a masked figure bending backward in defiance of anatomy. This goes on for minutes, or hours, or until time gives up and sits down. The fire twists again, and you see your own face in the flames briefly. It looks different. Not older, not younger, just worn, like it's been doing this longer than you realized. Then the masks begin to blur. Literally. The dancers are moving faster, impossibly so, and the edges of their bodies ripple like smoke. You lose track of their number. You lose track of yours, and that's when you notice you're not breathing anymore. Not because you've stopped, because the air around you is breathing for you. It expands when you need it, contracts when you exhale, like you're being carried, held, like a drum carries its sound. The figure with the spiral on their palm returns. This time, they kneel, offer something small, a carved charm bone, shaped like a bird. It rests in their outstretched hand. You reach for it, and the moment your fingers touch it, the world flashes. Everything fire dances, drums explodes outward in a ring of wind. You're not in the hut, you're not on the spirit path, you're not quite. You're somewhere between breath and snow, hovering, drifting, and that's when the voice speaks. From everywhere, from below you, you are ready for what you don't ask, because your mouth is not with you anymore. Just the charm, just the fire inside your ribs, and the distant memory of a ladder made of ribs leading back to a hut that no longer remembers what walls are. You tumble slowly through the dark like a snowflake that's forgotten which way is down. The bone bird charm presses against your palm, warm despite the cold, despite the fact that your body isn't exactly with you. You're weightless, but not free. You're being carried, not by hands, by the story itself, below or perhaps around you. The air shifts. It thickens into velvet, then softens into wind, then thins into nothing. You land gently. Not on ground, on understanding. Your feet find texture moss, stone, maybe fur. You're standing in a clearing made of quiet. Moonlight drapes through bare branches overhead, though you don't remember there being trees. The sky above is packed with stars, closer than they should be. Some blink like they're thinking, then a voice. This time, close. Good. You're finally upright. You turn. A man or a shape wearing the suggestion of a man stands beside you, stirring a pot over a small fire. The flames are blue. The pot is bone white. The smell wafting up is pine. Pine needles steeped in something darker, bitter, like boiled memory. He doesn't wear a mask, but he has many faces just layered, like shifting light on water. When you look directly at him, he's nothing more than a tired shepherd with calloused hands and a patient expression. When you look from the corner of your eye, he has antlers and claws and eyes that outnumber yours by quite a bit. You're inside someone else's vision, he says, ladling the pine tea into a carved cup and offering it. Don't take it personally. Happens to all the newer ones. You hesitate, then sip. The warmth slides down your throat and spreads like light in an old hallway. You see shapes behind your eyelids. The man continues. This is the in-between, where borrowed thoughts settle and yours get picked clean. You sit, uninvited. The moss welcomes the weight. You came through the bone ladder. Right, he asks, not looking at you. You nod. Ah, the hard way. He ladles more tea, takes a sip, sighs. This hut, the one you're inside, sort of is very old, older than language, built on a place where stories like to sit. You've stepped into a groove, you blink, and a pine tree sprouts 10 feet away, grows, blossoms, then retracts into the earth like a reverse thought. Don't worry, he says, that one's mine. You ask without asking what happens next. He shrugs. Eventually, the one who dreamed you will wake up. You raise an eyebrow. He gestures with his chin. That's the price of entering a shaman's hut unprepared. You cross a threshold. You become an echo. For a while, someone else is dreaming you probably the shaman, or a fox, or maybe even the antlered tree. You open your mouth to protest. He waves you off. Relax. You're still real, just flexible. It's like being a guest in someone's ribcage. The fire flares once, revealing a dozen shadow figures seated in a circle just beyond the clearing. They don't move, but they notice you. They hum softly, not with mouths, with presence. You shiver. It's almost time, the man says, standing. For what he looks up, and the sky begins to peel back like wet bark. Above, you see the hut again, not the outside, the inside. Its ceiling floats above your head, complete with bones and smoke and that quiet, pulsing fire that swallows voices. You see yourself slumped at the fire's edge, eyes closed, lips slightly parted. The shaman crouches nearby, their fingers splayed over your chest, not harming, just tuning, like you're an instrument still learning its key, and the bones above rattle once softly, approvingly. The man hands you the cup again. You drain the rest, and this time the warmth spreads too quickly, too deeply. You feel the ground fall away, the clearing dissolve, the pine tea burn bright in your blood. Then you inhale, back in your body, in the hut. The shaman's hand lifts from your chest. The fire stirs, and your shadow gone for so long rejoins you, seeming itself quietly back to your heels. It shivers once, then settles, like it saw something it won't be telling you about. You sit motionless, your breath catching like it's waiting for clearance to re-enter your body. The hut is exactly as you left it, and not at all. The walls lean a little closer now. The bones overhead hang heavier. The fire's glow has dimmed, but its silence is somehow louder. It's no longer just eating sound, it's chewing on it, across the fire. The shaman watches you with eyes half closed, two of them. The third, high on the brow, remains open and unblinking, gazing at something far beyond the hut's walls, or maybe just into tomorrow. Your shadow gives a final twitch, then lies still. You're back, but not the version of you that walked in. The bone bird charm is still in your hand, though now it feels lighter, almost like it's hollow, or waiting to be filled. The shaman finally moves. Their hand reaches beneath the furs and produces an object, a drum. You recognize it not because you've seen it before, but because it's yours. Or rather, it wants to be yours. They pass it to you without ceremony. You hesitate, taking it slowly. The frame is wooden, dark with oil. The hide stretched over it is painted with concentric circles and a tiny red fox at the edge, mid-stride. You run your fingers over it. The surface is soft but tense, like it's just inhaled and is waiting to be struck. The shaman nods once, then sits back. Clearly, it's your turn. You lift the drum and tap it, softly. The sound is not a thump, it's a call. You tap again. This time, a note responds from behind you. A bone chime swings and hums, though there's no wind. You drum in rhythm, and the hut responds. The walls pulse, slowly. The bones above begin to sway again, and the fire shifts. It flickers for the first time, not just in shape, but in colour. Blue becomes green, then amber, then something darker, richer, like ink. Your heartbeat sinks to the drum. You're not playing it, you're translating. Somewhere in the process of descending the bone ladder, sipping pine tea in another's dream, dancing beside the fire and speaking without a mouth, you became fluent in something, and now the hut listens. The shaman hums, not in approval, not in warning, just in harmony. A shadow on the wall opposite you rises, not your own, not anyone's. It stretches tall, then unfurls into a shape, a figure with antlers and wings. It bows, slowly, then recedes into the wall, leaving behind a faint trail of ash that smells like pine and frost. You lower the drum, you're sweating, despite the chill. The shaman's third eye closes, their shoulders relax, and then they laugh. Not a roar, not a chuckle, a layered laugh. 3 voices at once. It startles you more than anything else so far. One voice is low and gravelly, like stone grinding against stone. Another is reedy and high, like wind through a cracked reed. The third is yours, your laughter, but not as you remember it. Not cynical, not nervous, just true. You look around, half expecting the hut to collapse from the weight of that sound. But it holds. And then, quietly, the shaman speaks for the first time. Their voice is the only one. Now, calm, direct, dry. You're not here to learn, they say. You're here to remember. You want to ask remember what? But your voice has returned only halfway. Instead, the drum in your lap shivers once, and you know, a feeling spreads from your spine outward like someone brushing snow from your back, uncovering old carvings beneath skin. You remember. The antlered trees creak when it accepted your offering. The hum of the spirit path beneath your bare feet. The pine tea simmering with truths not meant for morning. The circle of masked dancers that moved with time instead of through it. And you remember a final detail you hadn't noticed before. You never closed your eyes, because the vision never asked you to. You were meant to see all of it, and now that you have, the hut exhales, the fire settles, and the shaman gestures gently toward the flap of hide you entered through what feels like years ago. Time to go. You're not sure, but your legs move. You rise slowly, turn toward the flap, then glance back. The shaman has already vanished. Only the drum remains, in your hands, still warm, still yours. You stand before the hide door, the stitched seam unmoving in the flickering firelight, though now the flames behave themselves no spirals, no flickers of faces, just honest orange and soft shadow. You rest your hand on the flap. It feels alive, not pulsing or breathing, but aware, like it knows what you've seen, like it remembers who you were before you stepped inside. You hesitate. It's one thing to come into a shaman's hut, it's another to leave it. Because something always stays, and something always follows. You step through. The air on the other side is cold, so cold it bites through your clothes in a single breath, as if to remind you who's in charge now. The snow underfoot crunches with sharpness. The clearing is just as you left it still, blanketed, ringed by trees hunched under the weight of their own silence. But the hut is not behind you, not anymore. There's no dome of hide and fur, no skull ring, no bone chimes swaying in the breeze. Only snow, only footprints yours leading away from an origin point that no longer exists. And ahead the night, the real night, the Siberian night, where stars burn close, sharp, and enormous, and the wind doesn't whistle, it warns. You adjust the fur wrap around your shoulders. It wasn't on you when you entered, but you don't question it. It smells of pine and smoke and old stories. In your hands, the drum, still warm, still holding that hum of the not quite here, the almost over there. You walk. 'Cause what else is there? Each step feels heavier now, not from fatigue, but from fullness. You're carrying more than you brought in. Not items, not artifacts, just knowing. The snow crunches in a rhythm. Your rhythm. 3 steps. Then a pause. Just enough to let the world breathe back at you. Somewhere overhead. An owl calls once, then again exactly in time with your footsteps. You grin. Even the birds have joined the ritual. Ahead, the forest opens slightly, just enough to suggest a path. One not carved by sled or boot, but by intention. You follow it. The trees part reluctantly. The snow here glows faintly in patches bioluminescence frozen moss. The ancestors saying hello could be all 3. Eventually you reach a small rise, and at the top a frozen pond, flat and glassy, its surface untouched by wind or falling branch. You approach, and the reflection waiting for you isn't entirely yours. It's older, not aged. just familiar in a way that makes no logical sense. You kneel beside the ice and place the drum carefully next to you. Its reflection doesn't match the real drum. The painted fox on the surface of the hide is moving just slightly, trotting in circles, eyes blinking. You blink back, and then it stops, looks directly at you, then lays down to sleep. The drum stills, you exhale, and your breath fogs the air. Curling into a spiral that doesn't rise, it drifts downward into the pond, settling like mist on its mirrored surface. The pond hums once. You feel it in your knees. The forest, too, responds. The trees don't shift. They simply agree. Scholars studying ancient Siberian shamanism often puzzle over the rituals performed in isolation, those nights alone in the forest, those solitary journeys beyond the veil. They wonder what was seen, what was learned, what was lost. They rarely understand that solitude isn't absence, it's arrival. You sit, and the world slows with you. Snow falls gently now, just a few flakes perfect, weightless, unnecessary, but beautiful. You don't need a voice to explain what happens next. The hut gave you the vision, the forest gives you the return, and here, at this quiet threshold between what was and what waits, you understand. You don't leave the shaman's hut. You carry it. It walks with you, sleeps beside you, echoes in your bones, and when needed it reopens, not in place, in time. You rise, pick up the drum, turn back toward the forest path, your footprints already disappearing behind you, as they should, because the night is long, and your journey's only just begun. You descend from the ridge with the pond behind you, the drum under your arm, and the air folding around you like a coat woven from breath and bone. The snow has changed texture. It no longer crunches, it sings, quietly. Just a note, almost missed. Each footstep sets off a tone, different from the last, like walking across an invisible xylophone laid beneath the tundra. You stop walking just to test it. Step, a low hum. Step again, a higher pitch. You're either imagining things or discovering an instrument buried in the land. You try a rhythm. Step, step, pause, step, pause. The forest listens, then answers. The wind nudges a tree branch. A crow lifts and glides overhead, silent except for the sound of wings slicing through sky-thick cold. You've become a part of something, not the centre, just a welcome piece. As you move forward again, the terrain shifts. The trees grow stranger, bent into spirals, bark scraped clean in deliberate shapes. Symbols emerge scratched, burnt, or simply grown. A feather, a spiral again, a circle with no end. You reach a fork in the path, left deeper into the forest. The snow thicker, the branches crowd low. Right a clearing lit by flickering torchlight. Human-shaped silhouettes moving slow, like dancers caught in molasses. You wait, and then something moves beside you. It's not the fox, it's your shadow. Fully upright now, separate, not escaping, just visiting. It stands beside you, hands in its non-existent pockets, as if to say, well, you glance at the fork again. The clearing looks safer, warmer. Your shadow points left. Of course it does. You sigh and follow. The snow deepens to your calves, then your knees. The cold doesn't bother you anymore. It brushes your skin like an elder, reminding you to keep your thoughts tucked in. You hum as you walk, matching your breath to the rhythm of your steps. The air grows dense again, not thick, just meaningful. Every inch of space feels aware. like walking through the memory of a thought someone important once forgot. Then, through the trees, a structure, not a hut, not a yurt, not shelter. It's a frame, a skeleton of antlers and branches, woven together with rope made from braided hair. No walls, no roof, just form, intention, space held for something that doesn't need weatherproofing. Inside it sits a figure, this one you recognize, the shepherd from the T-Vision, or someone shaped very much like him. His face is shiftless now. He looks human, tired, content. He's tending a fire made of frost. It glows cold, illuminates inward. "Didn't expect you back this soon," he says. You raise an eyebrow. "I didn't say I minded," he adds, then pats the ground beside us. "You sit." He holds out a bowl, inside snowberries, bright, glossy, impossible. Not even remotely in season. You eat one. It tastes like sunlight filtered through silence. Another. This one tastes like the laugh of someone you love but haven't seen in years. He doesn't ask questions, just watches. "You still have it," he finally says, nodding toward your drum. You hold it up. He smiles. Good. Then he leans in, quietly. "She gave it to you for a reason. You know, who?" He raises an eyebrow. "The hut." You blink. Everything in there is alive, especially the parts that don't look like it. You glance down at the drum. The fox painted on it stirs again, just a twitch of the tail. The man continues. "You've got a little of the breath still in you. The real kind. The first kind. You'll lose it eventually, but for now it's enough." You ask what to do with it. He shrugs. "You'll figure it out. Or you won't. Either way." The drum remembers. A pause. Then, more softly, "You don't survive the night in the shaman's hut by making it out alive." He leans back. "You survive it by not coming out unchanged." And you nod, because you already knew that. The snow settles like dust across your shoulders as you sit beside the frost fire, the flames licking upward in soft blue spirals that don't burn but do remind. The shepherd figure, if that's even still what he is, has gone quiet again, chewing thoughtfully on the last of the snowberries. You feel the weight of the drum in your lap, no heavier than before, but somehow more specific, as if it now contains direction, not just rhythm. You look around the antler frame shelter. It casts no shadow. The structure exists, but the moonlight refuses to acknowledge it. Every line of branch and bone hovers somewhere between presence and absence, like a dream you forgot the moment you woke. Then the wind picks up just slightly, not rude, just curious. It brings with it the scent of pine ash and damp fur, a reminder. The man beside you stands. "You've got a bit of breath left," he says, wiping his hands on a strip of bark. Might as well use it while it still listens. You rise, following him to the edge of the clearing. The trees open here, revealing a small stone platform half buried in snow, ringed by vertical poles covered in carvings. Some of the glyphs are familiar. One spiral, 3 foxes, a handprint, and something new. Your own face. Not exact, but close enough that you don't laugh it off. "I didn't put it there," he says, anticipating your question. You nod slowly. The platform calls you forward. You step onto it and kneel, placing the drum in front of you. The silence around you becomes expectant, like the forest has turned its head, like the moon has held its breath. You raise the beater and strike. 1 note, then 2, then 4. A rhythm emerges, one you don't invent, But remember, it's simple. But each beat lands with a thud that echoes beyond hearing. You feel it in your sternum, behind your eyes, between your shoulder blades. And then something answers. Not an echo. A second drum. From far off. Faint, but definitely real. You pause. Strike again. Wait. The other drum responds faster. Syncopated. A rhythm you almost recognize but can't place. Your fingers tingle. Your breath slows, and then a third joins in. This one even farther. Your heartbeat aligns with the rhythm before your brain does. It's no longer call and response, it's a circle, a weaving. The platform glows faintly under you, not visible to the eye, but your skin feels it, the stone warming just enough to suggest approval. You close your eyes, drum again, and the forest moves, not visibly, but inwardly, like trees leaning closer without shifting, like stars blinking just once in acknowledgement. The wind hums softly, matching your beat. The rhythm takes over, and suddenly you're not drumming. You're the drum. The stick in your hand moves of its own accord. Your other hand joins it, then your shoulders, your feet, the rest of you. You're no longer playing a rhythm, you're playing a path. One beat leads to another. One breath folds into the next. The frost fire behind you rises not high, but deep, the flames leaning inward like monks in conversation. You open your eyes, and you are everywhere. Back in the hut, back in the T-vision, back in the dance, in the ladder, in the snow. And just like that, the rhythm stops. You drop the beater. The platform falls silent. The carvings glow faintly, then fade. You look to your right. The shepherd is gone. Again. But in his place, footprints. Yours. Leading away from the circle. Back toward the night. Back toward a different kind of morning. The footprints look recent, but you don't remember making them. They curve gently away from the stone platform, weaving between leaning trees like they knew which ones would get out of the way. The drum still hums in your hand, not out loud, but in your bones, a distant echo reminding you that the rhythm isn't over. It's just quieter now. You follow the prints. The snow deepens again. Not enough to slow you, but enough to soften every step until you feel like you're gliding across memory rather than ground. The trees begin to change too. Their trunks darken. Their bark starts to peel back in long, curling strips that flutter faintly like breath. The smell here is no longer just pine, it's resin, smoke, and something sharper, lichen and ash. Eventually, the trees part, revealing a clearing lit entirely by moonlight and reflection. A frozen lake stretches out in front of you, perfectly still. Its surface holds the sky in place. Stars hover both above and below. You step closer and stop, because you're already standing there, at the lake's edge. Another you, not a reflection. A figure wearing your face, your coat, your hands only older, not in age, in understanding. Their eyes are soft, as if they've been watching you walk here from the moment you entered the hut. They don't speak, but they do raise their hand, palm open. Something rests inside. You step closer, carefully. It's a name, not written, not spoken, felt. It unfurls from their palm like smoke, curling into the air, brushing against your cheek, then entering through your breath. The moment it touches your lungs, your knees go soft, because the name isn't new, it's yours, not the one your parents gave you, the one the hut recognized, the one the ladder knew. the one the fox sighed at when you stumbled, the one the tree with antlers offered to return. You mouth it, and your older self nods, then steps backward into the lake. But they don't fall, they melt, not painfully, not dramatically, just dissolve, like breath into winter. You're alone again, except now you know you're not. You step up to the edge of the lake and kneel. The ice doesn't reflect you, it reflects who's watching you. Eyes, so many, none threatening, just present. You tap the drum once, gently. The ripples pass beneath the ice. The stars shift above, and you hear it a song, not sung for you, sung about you, from far off. From a time that hasn't happened yet. It's slow and haunting, and doesn't need words, just rhythm. You breathe in, letting it fill you, and as you do, the trees behind you shift again, this time with intent. Something approaches, but not walking, carried by the wind, by thought, by echo. It's the hut, not physically or but spiritually. The shaman's presence, enormous and quiet, folds around the clearing like a second moon. You hear that layered laugh again. 3 voices. One is still yours. Good, the voice says. You remembered. The wind stops. The lake settles, and a single strip of bark lands beside you, curling upwards slightly like an open palm. You pick it up. It's etched with the spiral. Of course it is. But this time, it's open-ended, not a loop, a path. Leading forward, you rise, tuck the bark into your coat, and look out across the lake. At the far end, a new trail begins, dustless, unwalked, but familiar. You step onto it, and everything sighs in quiet approval. The new trail doesn't begin so much as happen. One moment it's lake and reflection, the next it's moss and stone and a thin ribbon of space unfolding between firs that never grew in the same direction twice. The path curves gently, like it's being considerate, like it's had plenty of time to wait for you, and it has. You walk slower now, not from exhaustion, from reverence. Every step feels borrowed from someone else's journey, and you're not here to leave scuffs. The snow thins out until only patches remain, cradled in the crooks of tree roots and under the ribs of fallen branches. The drum at your side grows quiet, not still, just listening. You pass a stump carved with symbols. One is a handprint with 7 fingers. Another is a fox with its tail on fire. Another is a human figure split in half, one side bones, one side stars. You recognize all 3. From inside, the trail rises a little. A slope that seems to lead you above the tree line, even though the trees never quite vanish. The sky above grows wider, fuller, and less metaphorical. Stars blink in arrangements that make sense if you stop thinking about them. Then, suddenly, the air changes. Warmth, slight, but real. You smell herbs, sweetgrass, mugwort. A touch of cedar and a headlight. Not moonlight. Firelight, but not just a flame. A hearth. You step into another clearing, this one softer, surrounded by bent trees that seem to lean in protectively, not ominously. In the middle, a low stone circle cradling a fire. The smoke rises straight up into the sky, as if the stars gave it permission. Someone tends it. You don't recognize them. Or maybe you do. Their back is to you. Hair long, silver in streaks, shoulders broad but relaxed. They turn slowly, and the firelight lands on their face in soft gold waves. It's you, again, but not older, not younger, just right. Like this version of you was carved by wind and patience. They nod, say nothing, then gesture to the opposite side of the fire. You sit. There's no mirroring now, no illusion, no symmetry game. Just two versions of you sharing a fire neither of you built. They offer a bowl, inside warm broth, thin, fragrant, impossibly familiar. You drink. It tastes like your first safe memory, not your first happy memory, your first safe one. A blanket, a hand, a hum in the next room. The other you leans back, watching the flames, then speaks. You'll forget some of this. You nod, they smile, and that's okay. The parts that matter will echo, quietly, like a drum from a few hills away. You both stare into the fire. It shifts, shows images. A reindeer's breath in moonlight, the spiral in the soot, the hut's third eye, blinking sideways, the fox, trotting across your drum and vanishing again, and the shadow your shadow standing at the lake's edge, watching you dissolve. The other you stirs the fire, and you'll think this was a dream. You'll call it metaphor or story. You'll tell someone, maybe, and halfway through you'll forget how it ends. You look up, their eyes meet yours, but every time you see a spiral, you'll pause. They reach into the fire, yes, into it, and pull something out. A stone, cool, black, etched with lines. They pass it to you. It's not heavy, but it feels like a responsibility. On its surface, your name, not written, carved, in a way only the hut could have known. You close your fingers around it, and when you open them again, the fire is gone. The clearing is gone. The other you gone, but the warmth remains, and the path ahead is still waiting, this time lined with lanterns, small ones, hung from branches like sleepy stars. You stand, drum in one hand, stone in the other, and walk forward into the glow. The lanterns swing gently as you pass, though the air is still, no wind. No hand reached out to stir them. They simply react to your presence like leaves turning toward light. Their glow is pale gold, nothing harsh. It wraps around the trees and flickers off the snow in pulses, as if it's breathing in time with you. You walk quietly. Even your footsteps have decided to hush themselves. The snow accepts your weight without complaint. The moss stretches a little longer underfoot. The night doesn't ask questions. It just watches. Each lantern bears a carving. Simple ones an eye, a branch, a spiral naturally, a cup, a reindeer in mid-leap. You could stop and trace every one. Part of you wants to, but something inside says, no need. You've already seen them before. Maybe not in this life, but somewhere. The path narrows again. Not into danger, into focus. Trees bend overhead until their branches kiss, forming a woven canopy that blocks the stars. In their place, tiny points of greenish light flicker in the gaps. Phosphorescence, memory, bioluminescent moths. You pass under them like a dream slipping beneath an eyelid. Then, ahead, a doorway. It's not a real door. It's a suggestion of 1-2 tree trunks grown too close, their upper branches locked like fingers. Between them a threshold. You pause. Behind you, the forest remains warm, calm, watching. Ahead, the cold returns. You step through, and the world tightens. The snow deepens, the trees vanish, the lanterns stop, and you're alone again. You look up. The sky is a dome now, massive, wide, rich with stars in unfamiliar constellations, spirals, bones, masks, foxes. A gust of wind brushes past you, just strong enough to lift the ends of your fur cloak. It whispers something. You don't catch it, but the drum hums in your hands. It understood. You move forward. Not far, just enough to find yourself at the edge of another ring. Not of skulls this time. Of footprints. Thousands of them, all pointed inward. At the centre, a circle of stones. 8 of them, each with a different object resting on top. You approach carefully. A carved wooden comb, missing 3 teeth. A rusted fishhook. A bundle of feathers tied with sinew. A flute broken in half. A pouch of dried berries. A mask split down the middle. A fur mitten stitched with red thread. A small flat stone with a spiral. That last one is still warm. You crouch beside it. Your fingers tremble as they reach down, not from fear, from recognition. You've seen this stone, in dreams, in tea, in firelight. You pick it up, and in the space beneath it, you find another stone, identical, still warm. Your drum pulses softly, like a nod. You place the stone from your pouch, the one from the tea fire, next to the new one. They don't merge. They rest. Together. 2 names. 2 journeys. Same rhythm. You stand. The forest breathes in. You exhale. And the stones glow just a flicker. Then stillness. Scholars of ancient Siberian shamanism have long debated the meaning of these offering circles. Were they graves, ritual centres, teaching spaces? No consensus exists, but now you know. They were return points, places to come back to, places where the story paused, just long enough for someone else to pick up the thread. And so, you walk backward from the ring, not as retreat, as respect. You turn once more toward the doorway of trees. The glow behind it has softened. A fox waits there now. The same one, its eyes blink slowly. Its tail curls once, and it turns, walking forward, just far enough to make you follow, which you do, because of course. The fox doesn't hurry. Its steps are precise, calculated, each paw print pressed into the snow with the assurance of someone who's walked this route more times than stars have blinked. You trail behind it, drum at your side, the cold forgotten, or perhaps respected into silence. The trees open again, just enough to let you both pass. You don't look back at the ring of stones. You don't need to. That part of the story now holds you. The fox leads you to a narrow ravine, not carved by water but by time. Its edges slope down softly, forming a shallow valley cradled by bare birch trees with bark like old paper. Their trunks lean inward, as if eavesdropping on whatever's about to happen. At the bottom, a hut. Not the hut, not the breathing, rearranging, dream-devouring hut you first entered. This one is simpler, smaller, built of weathered wood and stitched hides. Smoke curls from a hole in the roof, too thin to be from fire, maybe from memory, or tea, or breath. The fox stops beside the doorway and sits. You pause beside it. It turns to you and says, quite plainly, "You've made it back before dawn. That's more than most." Then it stands, and walks into the wall of the hut, through it, vanishing without a ripple. You blink. The door creaks open by itself. No one beckons, but something waits, inside. The hut is warm, not hot, not stifling. The warmth of storybooks and firelit kitchens and blankets that know your name. The scent is unfamiliar but calming, burnt feathers, damp stone, and something that smells faintly like patience. The walls are lined with furs and bundles of herbs hanging from cords. A small fire glows in a clay hearth. Its smoke drifts sideways instead of up. And there, sitting on a low stool with a carved spiral beneath it, is someone, not a shaman, not quite. They're dressed simply, eyes closed, hands resting lightly on their knees. As you enter, they speak, without opening their eyes. You didn't bring the question. You freeze. They smile, still eyes closed. But that's all right. The hut gave you a better one. You step inside fully, letting the door close behind you. The person gestures to a spot across from them, a cushion made of woven bark and fur. You sit. The drum rests on your lap. They open their eyes, and you gasp, not from fear, from recognition. They have your face, again, but older, softer, as if sanded down by hundreds of nights like this one. You still think you're surviving, they say, not unkindly. You start to speak, but they shake their head gently. This place isn't for survival, it's for returning. They reach into a pouch and draw out a small bone whistle. Place it on the floor between you. Then they reach again. A second object, a feather grey and black, tipped in crimson. They place it gently beside the whistle. You wait. Then a third item, a claw, bare, maybe, or something older. They nod to you. You reach into your coat, pull out the stone from earlier, the one etched with your name, place it beside the others, then, instinctively, you lift the drum, tap it once. A sound echoes in the tiny space, then again, and now the person across from you smiles wider. This was always the ending, they say, rising slowly, but endings are where questions rest, not answers. They step backward into shadow, and the hut begins to blur. Walls soften, smoke thickens, the fire bends sideways into a spiral, and the objects on the floor lift just slightly, hovering, then falling again. The door opens behind you. You turn, and there's nothing but dawn. The first true light you've seen in hours, maybe days, maybe lives. You step into it, not blinking, not shielding your eyes, just accepting. Because you're no longer someone who survived the night in a shaman's hut. You're someone who walked it well, and the forest agrees. Dawn wraps its arms around you like it remembers your name better than you do. It doesn't burst over the horizon, it arrives, patient and knowing, like a song played in reverse that somehow makes more sense than the original. The snow no longer glows blue or silver, it glows warm. You've forgotten how gold morning can be until it brushes your face like a parent waking a child without words. You descend from the hut that second, quiet a hut leaving behind its soft breath and watching walls. The path ahead is familiar, though you're certain you've never seen it before. Your boots crunch on frost, but the sound is gentle now, as though the forest has stopped testing you and started welcoming you home. The drum in your arms hums again, just once, like a stretch. Like it's waking too. You walk without purpose now, not because you're lost, but because the need for direction has dissolved. The world curves gently forward, and you're content to follow it. After some time or no time, you reach another clearing. This one is alive with the leftover traces of what just was. Footprints, feathers, a string of beads hanging from a low branch, still swaying from a breeze that passed through minutes ago. In the centre, a fire circle, long dead, but not cold. Stones ring the spot like elders gathered around memory. You kneel beside one, rest your hand on it. It's warm, not in temperature, in feeling. There's a bundle nearby wrapped furs, a small flask, a half-eaten round of flatbread tucked under birch bark. Someone was here, maybe still is. You sit, and that's when you hear it, a distant drum beat, far off, not calling, just marking time. You tap your own drum once in response. A pause. Then another beat answers closer now. You smile. Across the clearing, movement, a figure emerges from the trees. Not a threat, not a guide. Just another traveller. They wear a fur cloak like yours. They carry no drum, but their gait has rhythm. They approach slowly. Eyes meeting yours with that look, have we met in another dream? They sit across from you without a word. You pass the flask. They drink, nod, pass it back. Neither of you speaks, but the forest does. Above, the trees lean slightly inward, as though drawing the shape of a circle that doesn't need to be finished. A breeze curls through. The string of beads rattles once. A fox watches from the edge of the trees and then trots off without a sound. The traveller opens their hand. Inside, a piece of bark, etched with a symbol, a spiral. But this one is broken, split, just before the centre. You reach into your pouch and find a mature bark piece, carried all this way. You place them together on the ground. They touch and heal, not with glue, not with magic, with understanding. You both nod and rise. Together. There's no discussion, no plan. You walk side by side back into the thinning trees, where the snow lightens with each step, and the hum of the forest becomes the hum of return. You reach a ridge, below the world you knew, or almost knew. A trail winds down to the place where maps start working again, and borders resume. The traveller places a hand on your shoulder, a simple pressure, then walks another way. No farewell needed. You descend alone, but not alone, because the forest has marked you, because the hut has kept you, and because now, even in the noise and structure and clock-bound time below, you will carry a rhythm that refuses to fade. You step onto the road. A bird calls. The wind tastes like firewood and fir and fermented berries. You smile and walk toward the day. The road ahead is muddy, half frozen in patches, as if winter isn't entirely sure whether to leave yet. A few stubborn puddles reflect the sky in cracked pieces. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the faint groan of a wooden fence unattended livestock. Maybe, or wind nudging a memory into motion. You walk slowly now, not from fatigue, from completion. Each footstep feels optional, like if you stopped here and sat down, the rest of your life would eventually come find you anyway. The drum hangs quietly at your side. It doesn't need to sing right now. It hums occasionally, like a dream sighing itself back into sleep. Up ahead, the edge of a settlement comes into view. You'd forgotten how human places look after a night like this. Flat roofs, stacked wood, a few smoke trails curling upward like questions waiting for coffee. You spot a rusted bicycle leaning against a tree, a half-frozen stream bubbling near its roots. Someone spots you from a distance. You see the figure shift from their stoop, then wave, just once. Not enthusiastically, just a quiet acknowledgement that people arrive sometimes. You wave back, and that's when the memory hits you. Not of the hut, not of the fox, not even of the dream you walk through someone else's bones. No, the memory of your own beginning. The moment you crossed the ring of skulls and antlers without knowing the cost. The moment you stepped forward, not because you were brave, but because not stepping forward wasn't an option. You pause. The village is close, but something behind you pulls. Not physically, inwardly. You glance back. The path is empty, the snow settling evenly now. No footprints, no wind. But you feel it. The hut hasn't disappeared. It's waiting. And more importantly, it's still listening. You take a breath, reach into your coat. The bark spiral you've been carrying is warm again, slightly curled at the edges, as if reminding you it, too, has seen things. You tear a small piece from it and gently press it into the hollow of a birch tree beside the road. No magic, no flash, just bark against bark. It holds. You step away and feel something agree. A quiet yes from a world that rarely explains itself. Then you walk on, into the village, where people nod, where children chase geese, where the air smells like pine and fried fish, and the kind of laughter that only comes after a long winter. Someone offers you tea. You accept. You sit on a crate near a fire barrel. Warmth returns in layers, not sudden, not sharp, just a slow remembering. Someone asks where you came from. You shrug. North, you say. They laugh. North of here, that's the edge of the world. You smile. Almost. They pour the tea, offer bread, and you eat in silence. Because no one here needs the story. Not the full one. Just the presence. The way you carry yourself. The smell of smoke still tangled in your coat. The faint spiral etched into the side of your drum, half hidden by soot. That's enough. And maybe, just maybe, someone here has their own story to finish, their own drum to find, their own path to walk, but not tonight. Tonight is for tea and firelight and stars that blink like old friends. You lean back, close your eyes, and the forest whispers nothing at all, because it doesn't need to. You remember now. The tea is bitter and dark, just how it should be. You sip slowly, letting it sit on your tongue before swallowing, like the warmth might reach your ribs a little better that way. It does. You cradle the cup in your palms like a gift you're not quite ready to give back. Around you, the village continues with its small, determined rhythm. Someone chops wood. Someone else mends a net, muttering under their breath in a language thick with snow and consonants. A dog lumbers past with the unconcerned pride of something that's chased off more than its fair share of bears. You feel invisible, but not in a bad way, in a resting way, like the forest has draped a veil over you and whispered to the world, "Let them be, just for a while." You sit longer than you mean to, maybe hours, maybe only a few songs worth of birds, and when you finally stand, your limbs obey gently. The drum comes with you, naturally, like a hand you forgot you were holding. You follow the path through the village, nodding when someone meets your gaze. A few smile without curiosity, a few look away politely. They've seen people return before. Eventually, the houses grow sparser. The snow thickens again, but only in patches. And then, just past a fence where reindeer antlers hang like wind chimes, you see it. A river, wide, slow, half frozen. The water moves like it has nowhere to be and enjoys not being there. You crouch by the bank, breathe, and set the drum beside you. Then you do something unexpected. You begin to hum, not a song you know, not one you learned. One that comes from the soles of your feet and the places in your lungs where the tea still lingers. It's low, circular, a rhythm of vowels. The river listens, and responds just slightly with a shift in current. The wind pauses, even the birds seem to mute themselves, and you hum until the air stops needing it. You look down at your reflection. It's not just yours. The fox watches from over your shoulder. You turn. No one's there. You smile. The spiral in your coat pocket shifts again. The strip of bark warms for a second, then cools. You reach into the drum's pouch, pull out a handful of dried berries, the ones that weren't there yesterday. You eat one. It tastes like laughter near a fire. You toss another into the river, for the spirits, or for the fish, or for both. Then you rise. The sun has decided it might try to climb today. A few golden threads stretch along the edge of the sky, lazily knitting together light. You walk downstream. No destination. Just motion. The rhythm continues in your hips, in your fingers, in your shadow, which still seems little independent, but agreeable now. The path returns to forest, but it's a gentler forest. The trees don't press so close. The air doesn't test your breath. There's a log ahead, cut clean, with a spiral carved deep into its end grain. You sit on it and let your mind wander not back, but around. You remember the ladder of ribs, the tea that whispered, the fire that swallowed sound. You remember your name, the one that never fit in any alphabet, and you remember not surviving the night, but belonging to it. You hum again, just once. The river answers with a ripple, and the world lets you be. The forest settles around you like a quilt that's been waiting all night for you to stop moving. The log beneath you is soft with moss and thyme, the kind of softness that doesn't ask for thanks. You lean back slightly, elbows resting on your knees, eyes half-lidded as the river to your left continues its patient murmuring, not rushing, not stagnant, just content. Above, the sky has started to shake off its stars. A few linger stubbornly in the upper corners, blinking like they know you're watching. The sun yawns low in the east, its gold still diluted by mist. You tap the drum once on your thigh. It doesn't sound like it did before. It sounds closer, like it's been listening. You try another rhythm, slow, even, and there it is again, that second sound, a harmony, barely perceptible, but real. You smile, and then you hear footsteps, crunch, pause, crunch. You don't turn right away. It's not fear, it's familiarity. Whoever or whatever approaches, you already know them. Eventually, a figure steps into view, cloaked, hooded, their boots caked with frost, a pouch slung across one shoulder. They stop a few feet away, head tilted. No greeting, but not silence. A kind of moment that stretches because it deserves to. Then, softly, they speak. You walked it well. You nod. They crouch, reaching into their pouch, pull something out, extend a closed hand toward you. You don't flinch. They open their fingers. Inside a small bundle of red thread, wound tight. You take it without question. The moment it touches your skin, a vision unfolds. A hut, the hut, just as you left it, standing silent in the snow, its hide walls fluttering in windless air. Inside, the fire glows, and the bones overhead still hum, but sitting by the hearth now is you, again, but not asleep, waiting. The vision fades. You look up. The figure is gone. No footprints. Just a gentle indentation in the moss where they crouched. You turn the thread over in your palm. It's warm. You lift it to your ear. Nothing. But the drum pulses once. A suggestion. You tie the thread around one of the drum's chords. It blends in immediately, as if it had always been part of it. Then you stand, stretch, and continue walking. The river narrows and bends away. The forest opens into patches of golden grass, still damp with thaw. Birds begin their hesitant morning songs, no full chorus yet. Just the occasional note, like a warm-up before the sky stretches wide. In the distance, smoke, thin, pale, domestic. Another village, maybe. You walk toward it. As you do, a figure emerges ahead, a child, standing in the field with a stick in one hand and a rabbit fur hat too large for their head. They see you, wave once, then turn and sprint off, disappearing into the tall grass. No fear, just excitement. Like they've seen this part before. You follow at your pace. Eventually the village unfolds ahead. Small homes, faded banners, dogs lying across doorways like they own the lease. You stop just outside. A wooden post marks the entrance. It's carved with names deep, straight, purposeful. And one symbol near the top, a spiral. You raise your fingers to it, trace it once. It's old, but it knows you, and you know it. The door of the nearest hut creaks open. An old woman steps out, wrapped in layers that smell like smoke and dried fish. She looks at you, squints, then smiles. "I remember you," she says. You open your mouth, but she shakes her head. You won't need to say it. "Come, the tea's ready." You nod, step forward, and realize you've just arrived at another beginning. The old woman turns without another word and disappears into the hut. Her gait the slow, certain kind that says she's been carrying firewood and mysteries for longer than most people keep memories. You follow, ducking under the low door frame, and are met with warmth, not just temperature, but presence. The walls are hung with stitched hides and bundles of herbs, dried flowers, woven charms made of straw and antler. There's a fire in the centre, of course. But this one crackles, loudly, like it wants to be heard. She gestures for you to sit on a cushion by the hearth, then moves to a shelf and begins preparing something in a wooden bowl, grinding, mixing, humming a tune without melody. The drum rests across your lap like a child napping. The red thread sways gently as if stirred by thought alone. You say nothing. She pours hot water into a carved cup, adds the ground mixture, and hands it to you. Her fingers brush yours briefly, but you feel a spark of recognition pass between you. Not from her, from whatever watches through her eyes. The tea smells sharp, bitter. You sip, and the moment it touches your tongue, you know, this isn't the first time. Not here, not with her, not in this body, but somewhere, somewhen. You've sat here before. She sits opposite you, knees cracking as she lowers herself with a sigh that sounds more like satisfaction than age. "You made it through the night," she says simply. You nod. "It's never just one night, though," she adds, stirring her own cup. You nod again, because you understand now. The hut, the drum, the fox, the shadow. It wasn't just a trial. It was a reminder, a cycle. One that doesn't end. One you re-enter every time you forget who you are beneath your name, your clothes, your skin. She leans forward, and her eyes lock onto yours. You remember the rhythm, you tap the drum gently. Thump, thump, pause, thump. She smiles, then begins to sing. A low, winding melody. Words in a language you've never spoken but feel no need to translate. You hum along. The drum joins, the fire dances, and your heartbeat sinks not just to the rhythm, but to the room, to the hut, to the forest, to the entire memory of the night that still echoes under your skin. When the song ends, She pours more tea. This time, it's sweet. You drink slowly. Outside, the wind shifts. Snow begins again, soft. Soundless flakes that fall like stories returning to earth. She stands and opens a small wooden box. Inside, feathers, bones, scraps of cloth, tokens wrapped in leather cord. She takes out a bead carved with a spiral and hands it to you. No explanation, just a passing of weight. You hold it, and it recognizes you. You smile. She says, "You'll know when to pass it on." Then she turns and begins stirring a pot over the fire, already moving into the next moment. You rise, place the bead in your pocket, bow slightly in her direction, not as thanks, but as acknowledgement. She doesn't turn, but you hear her whisper, "The path remembers." You step outside. The snow continues, quiet and warm, like a blanket tucking in the land. You follow the path leading out of the village, not because you know where it goes, but because it wants to be walked. Each footstep finds its place. Each breath carries more than air. And behind you, somewhere in the trees, the hut hums faintly, not calling you back, just keeping time. The snow underfoot is the softest it's been all night, powdered light, settling gently into every hollow without rushing to bury anything. You walk with a kind of rhythm that no longer feels borrowed. It's yours now, or maybe it always was. But the drum had to teach you how to feel it again. The trees lining the trail are thinner here, more open, almost as though the forest is letting you go. No trick branches, no sudden walls of bark and root, just quiet pines with long shadows and branches heavy with sleep. Up ahead, the horizon glows. Not the harsh blue-white of early dawn. This is golden, amber, soft. The kind of light that waits for you to notice it before spilling across your face. You come to a rise. At the top, you pause and breathe. The world stretches out below in a wide, lazy sweep of snowfields, frozen creeks, and distant smoke trails, villages waking up. People stirring, birds flapping free of whatever dreams kept them company through the night. You sit on a nearby stone. It's warm, naturally. Your hand moves without thought to the pouch at your side. The spiral-carved bead is still there, faintly warm, pulsing gently like a heartbeat made from memory. You place it on the stone beside you. No wind takes it, no creature disturbs it. It's simply placed, an anchor for someone else to find. The drum rests in your lap, quiet now, but not asleep. It knows. It feels the sunrise like a sibling, a fellow witness. You hum, one last time. Not a song, just the end of one breath and the beginning of another. You look out across the steppe. No part of you is the same as when you entered that bone ring in the snow, but you haven't changed. You've returned, not to where you started, to where you'd forgotten you began. The hut didn't test you, it reminded you. The fire didn't burn you, it showed you. And the spirits, they never meant to frighten. They just needed someone to carry the drum forward. The forest sighs behind you. Snow continues to fall, softer now, like punctuation. You rise, leave the bead behind, and walk downhill into the gold. The cold doesn't bite anymore. Your breath doesn't cloud the air. And somewhere, far off, but not far enough to forget it, a fox flicks its tail and disappears into the trees. You smile and walk on. And now, as your footsteps grow quieter and the forest recedes into the past, let your breath slow. The journey has ended. Not with the door closing, but with one gently swinging open behind you, left ajar for the next sail who comes seeking rhythm in the silence. You're no longer inside the shaman's hut, but part of it remains inside you. Not in the way dreams leave fading images, but in the way rivers remember every stone they've passed. The snow still falls, but it no longer covers. It comforts, a blanket, not a burden. The sky above no longer presses down, it expands, each star a drumbeat, each cloud a whisper. You're different, and yet you're more yourself than you've ever been. So let your breath settle into long, soft waves. Let your shoulders fall. Let your heartbeat slow into a rhythm that echoes something ancient and kind. Because you walked the path well. You held the drum without dropping it, and you remembered just enough. There will be other nights, other questions, other doors made of bark and smoke and dreams. But not right now. Right now, there is only rest and the forest, keeping time. Good night.